Alrighty. Welcome back to ReZero Anime Review, episode 48. Before I start reviewing, which by the way, I'm going to be reviewing the 20th light novel for the light novel series. Well, in case some of you may have heard, ReZero is getting season 3. And the rumor is it's going to be really long. Yes. I've heard rumblings that it might be like longer than the previous two seasons. The first seasons were 25 episodes apiece. This season is rumored to be 35 episodes. You heard me correct. That is the rumor I've heard. It's going to be 35 episodes and that this arc, and if it looks from the image, like I mentioned, it may be that in the very next arc, which I'll review that in another video for something like that. That'll come up really soon, don't worry about that. I'm looking forward to it. Because, well, and here's the thing. You might be thinking, okay, so we're getting ReZero Season 3. Okay, when is it coming? Okay, the answer to that one is... And this is ReZero Season 3. Because we've only had 2 seasons air so far for the series. Okay. Now, for the 3rd season, they announced that Anime Japan just this year, but when? I think it's coming out next year. I'm very happy. Brittany Knickerbocker herself, she actually posted this on Twitter when it was announced. Not that long ago, actually, this happened. So, in the case of a particular book itself, Volume 20, which is the final book of Volume 5. Yep. It was also T-Trail, also announced too. A date, they have not announced a date. It was actually announced just a couple months ago. So, in this story here, we wrap up the 5th story arc. Now, the big thing I can definitely say what happens to this one is that the three members, Wilhelm, his son, and his grandson, they all reconcile. Yes, basically they're... Now, he already reconciled with his grandson, per se. He also reconciles with his son, too, which I do appreciate the fact focusing on. There's not much super focus in this book, surprisingly. Now, we also find out in this book that there's 2 archbishops of gluttony. Sirius herself is, in fact, sort of defeated in this book. Kind of. They don't really confirm that here. She is beaten. And, of course, they also have it where Echidna finally shows up. Yes. The Witch of Greed, who possesses Anastasia. And it's like the whole point of that is the very next story arc. And also, Julius, in this book, is with the Gluttony 8 part of his name. And here's the thing. Like in the case of Rem, Subaru is the only one who remembers this guy. No one else does. Not even Anastasia. The woman that he works for does not know who he is. Now, it's not been specifically revealed exactly in the series of why he remembers Rem and Julius. My guess is it's because it's not just because he was isekai. That has nothing to do with that at all. I think it's because of the fact he's been having like witches' influence surrounding him. That's probably the reason why. And I do appreciate, though, that Beatrice gets a chance to do some stuff in this book, too. There's a fight with the end where he carries her smacking at her end. Which, of course, like, stop laughing and smacking. Stop laughing and stop smacking at her end. Yes. Now, the thing is, why he's doing this, don't really know. I think he's doing this unintentionally, of course. But I do appreciate this sort of a nice ending. But you could definitely agree with this. The Archbishop of Greed is done. He has been defeated. I think he's even killed in this story arc. Yeah, I think this book confirms that he's dead. And all of his wives, or now all of his 500 ex-wives. Yes, they've all divorced him. And they're all free to live their own lives now because the Archbishop of Greed is no longer around. They, of course, also have a thing where they kind of fixed the whole thing with Ashra, with his wife. Now, here's the strange thing about Wilhelm's son and his grandson. They're both redheads. Now, Wilhelm, even in flashback, never had red hair. So if you're curious, though, well, actually, he did have red hair in the flashback. Most, I think, comes from the mother. And yeah, so we do, in fact, have everything wrapped up here. The city is retaken, and the bishops are basically driven out. But this arc is really fun. This book is also really good, too. Nice conclusion to this arc, per se. And definitely can't wait to discuss book number 21. I give this book I give this book per se a 9 out of 10. It's a really good book, and we're definitely getting toward, like, well, we're already into the very next story arc already with book 21, which I do have right next to me. Now, according to the visual, of course, when I first mentioned it's like I mentioned that season will be probably covering not only this arc that I just finished reviewing here, but also the very next arc of the series. But I believe it's 4 books, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's basically it's trying to fix the whole thing with Rem. That's kind of what I read. And apparently, the current story they have right now started with book number 25. I don't know what's wrapped up yet. I have no idea. Also, Emilia gets a brand new outfit, where it looks like, though, that she shows a lot more skin of her chest than she did the previous seasons. Yes. And I don't think they changed studios this one. No, I think it's still the same studio. Let me take a look here just to be sure, because I think it's still the same company who does the first 2 seasons. Yep, White Fox. Yeah, that's one thing I think particularly they have not changed yet is I'm presuming that that the studio itself probably remain the same, which of course is White Fox. I had to find out exactly what arc this is. Let's see. Let's see. Arc 5, which starts with book 21, actually wraps up at book 25. The very next arc of the series, which is arc number 7, that begins with book 26 and still going on right now. Actually, I think it just wrapped up with volume 33, which makes it even longer than arc 4. That was 6 books. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. This was 8 freaking books. Arc 8, which is not officially, the books have not been released yet per se, but yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to whenever they start adapting this stuff. But if they're gonna adapt arc 7, like, or arc 6, which is basically 5 books, well, basically arc 5, which is just very short. It's like 5 books. Yep. Now, one thing I at least gotta give praise for this arc for this. Now, in the previous arcs, the whole return by death thing was used a lot. Guess how many times in these 5 books that return by death was actually used? Once. Yes, once. And that wasn't the first book. And here's the strange thing. There's no more return by death. The entire story arc, it's like basically the writer must have realized that was getting kind of old. It was getting actually pretty worse in the previous arc. Like, my God, he had Super get killed off and brought back a lot the last arc, and I do mean a lot. He mostly got like, I'd probably say if you watched that entire second season, he must have died and come back like 10 times, maybe even 20 over the course of 25 episodes. Well, in the case of the first season, in the case of the first arc, I think he died a couple times per se. The second arc, I think he died 3 or 4 times. In the case of the arc that comes after that, which basically consumes the rest of the season, I think that one he died 3, 4 times. Like one time he actually died twice in the same episode because he wanted to bring back Rem. And here, Rem is now. I'm sure they're probably gonna go back to the mansion per se. Now they're not gonna. I don't think, from what I can tell, they're not gonna do a time skip because this arc basically was in fact a time skip. It was set like 1 year after the events of the previous arc of the series. Yes, 1 year later, and you could definitely say that the arc 6 is like the very next arc. It's like next, like you could definitely say this. It is basically what happens next, per se, because if you think about it, the first 4 arcs all take place in a very short period of time, and then you have basically the next arc, which begins next. Now, book 22 is coming out really soon. Book 20, I do own here. Book 21. Now, book 22, that actually is supposed to come out here next month. Yes, next month. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. Book 23, there's not been an announced date for the release for 23, 24, and 25. I thought about the synopsis that this was sort of like a reboot per se, but not really. Not really. It's not a reboot. Like, I thought it was either this arc or the very next arc that was sort of a semi-reboot of the series. And no, it isn't. Yeah. But definitely looking forward to discussing the rest of the stuff here. Now, what am I reviewing? The remaining 13 novels. When they eventually come out. Well, I have like roughly one more English release left to go. I'm going to update with things, but that'll come in the future. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here because I didn't want to spoil too much of this book per se, but ReZero Book 20, it's the end of Arc 5. Now, I had started buying the books with Arc 5 because here's kind of the thing. When they actually had started doing season 2 of the show. Now, I had read the first few books already, the one adapted for season 1, but I had not read the books that were going to be adapted for season 2 yet. As a matter of fact, the 15th book was actually during the season, like toward the end of it. Like, I had to wait for certain books to come out in order to read them for this one. But in the case of this one, it's not going to be the case in the case of for season 3. I read all of them. Well, all the ones I would get that for book 5 per se, but definitely looking forward to what happens next. I mean, ReZero is definitely a damn good series. It may be dark, but the story is really good. Yeah, it's known for its violence. It's got a good story, good characters. Yeah, the main character himself has got like 3 women attracted to him. One happens to be a 12-year-old girl who's got a crush on him, but he's basically got 2 women who are massively in love with him. The other one of them is in a coma. The other one is, well, he does know that she does know, and from what I can tell, they do kind of follow a little bit with that in this arc here. But unlike in the end of the previous arc where Subaru got a chance to kiss Milia, this one mostly he was there to break up a wedding. Yes, because the Archers of Greed really wanted to marry her because he liked her face. Yeah. Because he's the Archers of Greed. He's greedy. What do you expect? That's the whole thing with greed. You want everything. Mine. That's the whole point of greed. Yeah, he does live into his name. I wonder if basically Subaru will basically Echidna because he kind of mentioned to her in the 3rd arc that about the whole about the I think it was the 4th arc about the whole thing of the Archbishop, which she knew nothing about the Archbishop at all. She was kind of surprised about that. Yep. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here and go ahead and do my comic corner. Okay, next video. Bye.